back to Sweet Science Boxing and MMA here in Hawthorne, California. I'm Chris, your boxing enthusiast, and with me, as always, is professional boxing coach and insider, creator, owner of Sweet Science Boxing and MMA, your host and my very good friend, Coach Marco Trejo.
Hey, what's up?
What's happening, man?
Oh, man. Glad to be back. I always say that. But
I always am glad to be back, though.
yeah, every day in the morning. Glad to be back for another day. But, yeah, it was busy weekend of boxing. And then last week, was it last week? Last weekend?
Last weekend?
Yeah.
Triple G and Canelo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Biggest fight of the year so far.
Yeah. Man, it was a tiring weekend, I think, for both of us. So instead of doing the full episode, we posted a recap. So if you guys haven't seen the recap, maybe I can add it to the description.
Yeah, I appreciate all the comments that people are giving to our recap video.
Yeah, that's true. A lot of comments on it.
Yeah.
One guy even said, that you know what you're talking about. So that's
I don't know. What's he talking about?
Yeah, what's he talking about?
No,
right?
he's right though. He's right. He's right. He said that. That guy on the right knows seems to know the art of boxing. Yeah.
The art of boxing.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, let's hope so.
But yeah,
you're the coach, man.
I hope I know a little bit.
A little bit.
But I mean, that was a good video because it was a day after the fight.
Yeah, it was the day after, and then I had watched it from
you
the
were
venue,
there live,
and you had watched the pay-per-view.
TV.
Yeah, so I actually watched it on pay-per-view. I watched the replay last night, so I got to see it again. I got to see it again to see if it changed my perspective on the outcome.
Well, I want to hear more opinions from people. Comment on our recap video or comment on this one. What you think? What you think the outcome of the Triple G Canelo fight was?
Yeah. Well, we know what the outcome was.
Well, I mean, what you Well,
tell us if you agree.
Yeah, if you agree with the outcome, basically.
I'm gonna throw some statements at you guys later and see if you agree with them. We'll see. See where everyone's at.
Well, it's so crazy because it's like politics, that fight, man. It's so divisive.
Yeah.
You definitely have Triple G camp on one side and then Canelo on the other side, and you've got professional fighters who have their opinion. You have analysts who have their opinion. You got the fans. You have people who watch the fight live. You have people who were there, watching it at the stadium, and then you have people who watched it on TV. And there's been interesting opinions and differences on the opinions. So.
Well, Anthony De Jesus just joined us. Welcome, Anthony,
nice.
to Beat the Count. Anthony says, Canelo won! !
He's right.
Maybe. Well, he definitely won. He definitely won.
Yeah, he did win. He did win.
You got the decision. I could pull the cards up right now. Coach agrees with you, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, I think he took command of the fight right away. So that's and I remember predicting the fight, or before the fight, what our predictions were. I said the first fight, Canelo was pretty good for about 3 rounds. Then he started to kind of peter off a little bit.
Sure.
And I said he had to do that for 6 rounds. And that's actually what he did. He did it for about 6 rounds before he started to kind of wane a little bit and just kind of start to slow down. And then where Triple G was able to insert himself in the fight more. And that's what gave him the edge. Yeah, he lasted for 6 rounds instead of 3 this time.
You know what's funny? Someone actually asked me because I predicted that Canelo would win. We talked about the adjustments that he needed to make. They were the adjustments that he made, right? I came home, and someone said, "So are you happy that you're right?" And I was like, "No, I'm not. I'm actually not," because even though that's what I predicted, and that's sort of what the IQ is telling me, but my heart still wanted Triple G to take it away a little bit. I was still rooting for Triple G. If I'm being honest, and as a result, I wasn't happy, even though it's what I predicted before the fight.
And that's why I said the fight was a little anticlimactic, because Triple G didn't make any adjustments, in my eyes, that where he had Canelo in trouble. And I would have liked to see Canelo in trouble, because I feel when a fighter is in trouble, up against the wall, hurt, that's when he fights the hardest, or that's when something special comes out. And I thought, it was a close fight, but I thought Canelo cruised through most of it, winning the fight.
Cruised?
Yeah.
That's a
yeah.
These are the types of words that scare me when I see fight fans and people say that he cruised. I saw people say that he outclassed him that Triple G was
every metaphor in the
exposed.
book.
All those
Every metaphor in the
that's
book.
all nonsense. So
every cliche.
well, Anthony, I'll answer you. So Anthony asks, do you guys think there will be a third fight?
Yeah, I think Oscar De La Hoya already came out and said there will be a third fight, but not right away.
Yeah, well, yeah, they're going to let him. We're talking more probably May of next year, right, or September of next year. They want to get another year out of it, which is unfortunate because I feel like the third fight will just be even more of an advantage for Canelo. He'll win more convincingly than he did this time. Basically, he closed the gap a little bit. He lost the first fight, if we're being honest, right? So he lost that first.
Yeah, I think
the majority
so.
of people think he lost the first fight,
Absolutely.
including the two of us sitting here. He lost the first fight. He closed the gap with the second fight. There's some disagreement about whether or not he should have gone away with that decision. And then I think if there's another fight, you would just see it advance even further beyond that because of Triple G's advanced age and also for the reasons that we stated before about making adjustments and Canelo. So I actually want to comment on that. So someone asked me, how can I say that Triple G is, or excuse me, that Canelo is a more skilled fighter? And they were very upset that I made this statement. So someone said, how can I say that Canelo is a more skilled fighter? And what they cited was Triple G's amateur background, the fact that he had, in 350 some odd amateur fights, that he only lost, a single digits of times, that he, all the things that he accomplished, undefeated as a professional, beat Canelo the first time. How do I get off saying that? So let me explain what I mean by that, because a lot of people say that, I think, in the media, and like that Canelo is a more skilled fighter. What I mean is that Canelo is more dynamic. That's what I mean. What I mean is he makes adjustments better. He can adjust his style better than Triple G.
I think.
Yeah, so the way I described it before the fight was he has more tools in the bag to work with. That doesn't mean that Triple G can't construct a masterpiece with the tools that he has, which he has done for his entire career. You could say, he doesn't need to change the tools that he has because it's worked for him his entire career, and I understand that. So when I say more skilled, I mean more dynamic. And I think that when you look at that fight, one thing that you will see is Canelo's a more dynamic fighter. He came out and he made adjustments that were drastic adjustments. They were big adjustments from his initial game plan in the last fight. Triple G came out, had to make some adjustments as well, and didn't do as much in terms of adjustments. He didn't go to the body. He didn't start off
Can I ask
a lot stronger.
what adjustments did Triple G make?
Well, I will say that he was essentially in it. You and I might disagree on this. So let me be clear, okay? So Triple G gave away about 3 rounds of the first fight. I still think he won in the vicinity of 7 rounds or 8 rounds in that fight, but he gave away 3 rounds. And I think it was evident that he had some nerves going into that fight, that the moment got to him a little bit, and that he wasn't sure what Canelo was bringing, and so he had maybe too much respect for Canelo going into the first fight. What I had said leading into this one is one of the adjustments that should just come naturally is start faster, right? Don't wait so long, okay? Don't give away early rounds to Canelo.
Did he do that?
No. Well, let me back up. Did he make the adjustment, or did he give away early rounds? What do you?
Both. But I mean,
he did.
He did
give
give away
the
early rounds.
He did give away early rounds, but he made the adjustment. So I'll say that. Like, for instance, you probably think Canelo won the first round, but I don't. I actually think Triple G won the first round because if you go back and you watch that, Canelo has some flashier shots. He lands maybe 2 good power shots in that round, but the round is predominantly Triple G's jab, and it's there for all 3 minutes of the round, right? So I actually think he goes. So this is one of those things where
I'm tired of hearing about the Triple G's jab already, man. Winning the fight, man.
No. I'm not saying his jab won the fight. I'm saying it won that round.
I don't think he won.
It won round 1, right?
Dude, he got clobbered with the left hook in that first round, man. He got stunned.
He was not clobbered with anything in the first round.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
He was not clobbered with anything in the first.
You got to watch. You got to watch the replay, man.
I just watched it. it last night. I watched the replay.
And you know what, Triple G? Yeah, he did throw a lot of jabs, but so many of them got blocked. A lot of them didn't land flush. People are acting like Triple G threw a jab and it stunned Canelo, and it didn't do anything. It didn't do anything. It didn't prevent Canelo from going forward. It didn't prevent him from throwing combination. It didn't do anything.
I agree with that.
And as far as the adjustment, it's hard. I guess the older you get, it's hard to learn new things.
Yeah.
I don't see Triple G making adjustments in the future, and I didn't see him make any adjustment in this fight whatsoever. He was attempting to go forward, and Canelo stopped him at the pass, and then he started going forward, and Triple G had no idea what to do. No idea what to do. I would say
he had some idea what to do.
No, most.
Was he pinned down ever in the fight?
No, but most.
Well, then he had an idea what to do.
Most of what he was trying was out of desperation and not desperation,
but it worked.
Frustration. I didn't see that.
No. But what I mean is he wasn't pinned down ever in the fight. He wasn't cornered. He didn't get teed off on at any point in the fight. That wasn't directly in the middle of the ring. The fight stayed at the middle of the ring. So right. So he wasn't the ring. It's not like the ring was cut off and he got caught in the corner or something like that.
Dude, like it stayed in the middle of the ring, but he was on his back foot like 90% of the time, and he backing up,
and it was in the middle of the ring. So what does that tell you? So he was on his back foot, but it was in the middle of the ring.
Well, you can back up and still circle, and not be on the ropes.
Yeah, that's called footwork, and you teach boxers that so that they avoid people who are coming forward and are pressure fighters. That's right. When if you were training for Gennady Golovkin, you would essentially train to do what Golovkin did in this fight, which is to say, how do I back up? How do I stay in the center of the ring? How do I not get on the ropes? How do I not get trapped in corners?
Yeah.
If you were training a fighter to do that, that's what he would do.
Yeah, maybe, but part of that too, though, is Canelo wanting to stay. Let's say you want to put pressure, but you don't want to push him all the way to the ropes because then you set up a trap for yourself. So that could be part of it too.
That might be giving Canelo a little bit too much credit. You're like at that point you're giving Canelo credit for things that you don't even know if he's doing or not. Like you can only judge what you see. Like
I've got to rewatch it.
You shouldn't infer that Canelo is actually making that. He's coming forward.
Well, he's got more tools.
He does have more tools. I agree. Okay. And
who's to say he wasn't doing that?
No. He does have more tools. I want to comment on the jab thing though. Okay. So because I don't think jabs. Here's the thing. The jab matters. It counts. So like, here's the truth of the matter. I believe that the jab count goes up because Canelo's moving forward, right? So one of the reasons that Triple G landed so many jabs is because it's different. Canelo's moving into him the entire time. It's the same reason why people give Conor McGregor all kinds of credit for landing shots on Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather was walking into him the entire time. He's going to take some shots as the process of doing that. Canelo effectively upped Triple G's jab numbers by saying, I'm going to move forward instead of move away, right? So I don't even really give him credit for an adjustment in the sense that I don't think he decided I'm going to throw more jabs necessarily in this fight so much as he had to throw more jabs because Canelo was pressuring him, and in order to do something about it, he had to keep the jab. That being said, it doesn't not count. Like, jabs count. I've seen a million people on Facebook and Instagram say that jabs don't matter, jabs don't count, jabs don't win fights. Of course jabs win fights. They win fights all the time. Like, watch a Klitschko fight, or
that's all he did.
That's all
for
it does
years.
Is jab. All it does is, of course, jabs don't win fights. Please don't use that as the basis of your argument because it doesn't. It makes you sound not intelligent about the sport of boxing. It's like the very first punch that you learn about controlling a fight is the jab. It's okay if you want to say, like Coach did,
even Malignaggi,
the jab wasn't enough.
Won a lot of fights on jabs.
Yeah, Malignaggi. Paulie's a big-time jabber.
Yeah.
Right? If you want to say that the jab wasn't enough to win the rounds in the Triple G fight, please word it that way. Tell me that the jab wasn't enough. Don't tell me that jabs don't win rounds. Of course they win rounds. Professional fighters who are going on Facebook saying jabs don't win rounds, I understand why you're not competing at the highest level if you think that if that is the case. I understand why I don't see you on TV.
We're having some pro boxers coming in here looking for you.
I'm serious, man. Well, here's the thing. I'm getting called out for a lot of stuff here. I'm getting called out because I say Canelo's a more skilled fighter. I'm getting called out because I think Triple G won some rounds. Like because I don't think Canelo won 10 rounds out of the fight and stuff like that. So I want to make it clear that okay, if that's how it's going to be, then please don't say things like jabs don't win rounds. Of course they win rounds. I'll show you whole fights that are won with jabs.
Yeah, I think of course jabs win rounds, but like I mentioned before, you have to use them to set up other punches,
Yes.
and then you have to use them to prevent your opponent from developing his attack or implementing his attack. And that didn't happen. You know, he was throwing jabs, but Canelo was still slipping. He was still setting up combinations. He was still moving forward. He was the more aggressive fighter. He was putting pressure. I don't know if the judges or people who give Canelo the credit for winning the fight, or, you know, say side on Canelo winning the fight, are really going based off the scoring of the fight, or more impressed with Canelo actually going forward. You know, I think that has something to do with it, where they're more in awe of what he did, because nobody walks Triple G down and nobody walks forward on that guy. So sometimes I think they're giving him a little bit extra credit for doing that, you know. But I do think that it totally threw off Triple G's his typical attack, you know, because you could see the look of frustration on Triple G's face throughout the fight.
Sure, but this is one of the pitfalls, I think, of scoring, is that you don't have the luxury of not knowing who the fighters are in this fight, right? Which is, you come in with the fight and you have a perception about how certain people perform. We assume Triple G hits harder than Canelo. That's an assumption that people have going into the fight. It's not based on anything. Nobody's seen a statistical data that shows that, like, Triple G's punches are, like, it's not based on anything. You know, going into the fight, Triple G is the boogeyman, right? He's the one that everyone wants to avoid. He pressures. That's what he does. So
it's perceived like that.
Yeah, and when you see him not doing that, it looks awkward.
Yeah.
But if you didn't know that was Triple G, you might not think that. You would just go, oh, yeah, he's not getting pinned down. He's dancing around the ring. He's doing all this different stuff, right? Doesn't appear to be in trouble really at any particular point in the fight.
So you're saying that would affect the scoring or not affect the scoring?
It absolutely affects the scoring.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, it absolutely affects the scoring.
Yeah,
like,
that's what I'm saying too.
No, I agree. I 100% agree. I think we're burdened by the fact that we know who the fighters are, and so we have, like, specific assumptions about how it should play out. And when it's not playing out that way, we give credit to Canelo.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't work that way, and we go, credit goes to Canelo. And not to say it doesn't belong there. It certainly does. But I'm saying that automatically we go, oh, Canelo's winning rounds because this doesn't look like a Triple G fight, which it didn't. It didn't look like a Triple G fight.
Yeah, it didn't
look like one.
It didn't at all. I think Canelo was only walking backwards maybe 2 rounds out of the whole 12. From what I recall.
Well, I think
like maybe a 10 and 11.
10 and 11. So in round 10 is when he took a couple shots that actually appeared to shake him up. And then in round 11 is the only time that either fighter was pinned down in the fight. So for a few moments in that fight, Canelo was pinned down, took a couple shots, and then he danced off the ropes and brought it back to the center of the ring.
But I think you say this often. I could be wrong, but you say, who would you rather be at the end of the fight?
Yeah,
right?
well,
And
that's
if you
actually a Max Kellerman's. But yeah,
okay.
I subscribe to it.
Okay.
I think that's true.
And you,
not at the end of the fight, though, because you don't judge fights at the end and say, who would you rather be?
or at the end
It's
of the
at
punch?
at the end of the round, right?
Okay.
So at the end of every round, to judge the round, you have to say, who would you prefer to have been in that round?
Well, let's say at the end of the fight, let's do a side-by-side comparison of these guys' faces. I mean, Triple G's, he swole up pretty good.
That's true, but it's just not the way that any fight is scored. That's like a completely, meaning so many fights, the outcome would be different if it happened that way. Look at, for instance, Sergio Martinez and Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., right? At the end of the fight, if you judge it at the very end and say, who would you rather be as a whole on the fight, it's probably you would rather be Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., because if that fight continued, Sergio Martinez would have been stomped into the ground.
No, I'm saying by damage taken to the face, though. Martinez's face wasn't beat up. Chavez's face was already swole up.
His face was swole up, but Chavez was on the verge of being knocked out and had sprained his knee and done all kinds of stuff.
I'm saying accumulation of damage. And you could see the accumulation of damage on Triple G's face. And you did minus a cut on Canelo's left eyebrow. There was not an accumulation of damage on his face. There was significant damage on Triple G's face.
Yeah, let me go back to the earlier point, though, because obviously Sergio Martinez had sustained greater damage than Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. did in that fight. He was concussed, right?
What, from the knockdown?
Yeah, he was concussed from the knockdown. He had sprained his knee. No, like in terms of overall damage that was sustained to a fighter, Sergio Martinez sustained more damage in that fight, but you cannot give the fight to Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. because he only did that in one round, and the other 11 were clearly dominated. So you can never look at the end and say, at the end, who would it be? Like, for instance, the giant cut on Triple G's eye, when was that sustained? The one that he had to have the 7 stitches in, go round 12. That came up in round 12, right? It wasn't there the first 11 rounds. He got it in round 12. So you could look at round 12 and go, oh, he has more damage on his face. Okay, well, most of the big portion of all the things that needed stitches came up in that last round.
Okay, well, here's the thing. After watching the fight live, you were there. You came back and you said you agreed, right? You agreed that Canelo won.
No, I said it was a draw.
Oh, you thought it was a draw?
Said it was a draw.
Okay,
yes.
and then you rewatched it the other day, and now you think
I think Triple G won by 1 point.
Oh,
and
wow.
well, here's what happened. To be fair, not by 1 round. He didn't win. He won by 1 point. And the way that happens is I took a round. Apparently, I couldn't say which round specifically. I took a round in there that I gave to Canelo previously, and I ended up calling it 10-10.
So how were you scoring it? Were you like?
That's it.
How were you scoring? How
Was I scoring?
Yeah, I mean, were you like counting the punches? I mean, what?
No, I never count punches. I don't count the punches. I mean, it's based on, well, I think in any scoring criteria, the number one scoring methodology is clean and effective punches. You look at who landed the most clean and effective punches in that round, right? So, and many times that's Canelo, many times it's Triple G, and some of the time you can't tell. You can't. No, it's true. Like, and that's why I give one round 10-10, because you watch the round and you go, I don't know whose punches were better in that round, really.
Well, that's where I think the argument for his jab not being effective. He threw a lot of jabs, and people saying jabs not winning fights or whatever. I don't think the jabs were effective. I don't think they were effective at all. I think they were kind of negated by Canelo's forward progress throughout the fight.
I think that's a crazy thing to say just by virtue of the fact that if we had Triple G standing in here and let's say he landed a ridiculous number of jabs in the fight, which he did, like call it, I don't know, 15 jabs a round, for instance. Let's just let Triple G jab us in the face 15 times for 2 minutes and see how effective it is. Of course, it matters, right? It's not like it's 200 jabs that you take to the face over the course of 12 rounds.
Is a jab equal to a straight right across?
No, it is not.
Is a jab equal to a left hook? Is it equal to body work? Is it equal to power shots?
It's not equal to any of those things.
Exactly.
1 for 1.
It's not.
1 for 1. It's not equal 1-to-1 for any of this.
Okay,
a jab isn't worth a straight right, but even 10 jabs might be, or 15 might be.
Well, guess what? Canelo was ripping the body the whole fight. Okay, he was ripping the body uncontested, and he was
I agree.
And he was landing hooks.
I totally
agree.
Landing
his hooks. He was getting some straight rights in there. I would say, okay, if it's 2 for 1, and then Triple G was landing so many more jabs. Well, then I think Canelo took it on them power shots,
and that's fine. See, that's the thing. I think that's an okay argument to have, to say that the cleaner, effective power shots that Canelo was landing was essentially outworking the jabs, right? And the only issue I have a problem with is that particular phraseology that people keep throwing out is that jabs don't win fights. Of course they do, right? Or jabs don't matter.
But not in this case.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
You can say it didn't win this fight. That's fine.
Yeah.
But saying that jabs don't matter or jabs don't win fights
jabs
is
matter
crazy.
Big time.
Like, go take 200 jabs in over a period of 12 rounds from Triple G and tell me it doesn't matter.
Jab's best punch in boxing.
Yeah, exactly.
Jab's best punch in boxing.
It's the number one thing that you learn.
If you can keep your opponent at bay, prevent him from coming inside. If you can set up big shots off of it, that's when the jab is the best punch in boxing.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're doing it as like that's the only thing you can use.
Yeah.
Then
even in the recap, remember I said I didn't feel like he was letting that rear hand go. Like his rear hand was tied down for some reason, and I don't know why.
I thought it was hurt. I thought he might have hurt his hand for some. I don't know because he wasn't.
At least
I was watching the fight and I was like, I thought he was waiting to set him up. I thought he was giving Canelo a little bit of false confidence, letting him open up so he can throw the right hand, and it just never happened, which was weird.
So I already went off. I went off on pro boxers already for the comment that jabs don't win. If you're a professional boxer, you shouldn't be saying that. And number one.
That's hilarious.
And I'm going to go off for another reason, because another thing that I'm getting a lot is that I couldn't understand because I am not a professional boxer. So for some reason, there's no way for me as a member of the boxing media to actually know how to properly score fights because I've never participated in a professional boxing match. Is the idea?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you know who would be great to argue that point would be Larry Merchant and Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah, that's true. And I know that Floyd is of this camp, right? That you can't know. Floyd has even said in terms of corner, how can he have someone in his corner who hasn't been in this situation before? I think cornering is different, obviously. Commentating, obviously giving your opinion, everyone has one. But the thought that a professional fighter's opinion is just automatically more valid is simply untrue. And I'll prove it. So
This is a good one.
yeah. So here's why. Sergio Martinez, Paulie Malignaggi, Lennox Lewis, Bud Crawford, Teddy Atlas. They're all people who are professionals, and I'll even exclude Teddy because Teddy had a crazy wild scorecard.
He called it a robbery.
He called it a robbery. Well, so did Paulie, but Teddy had like a 8-4 for Triple G. So I'll take Teddy out of there because I thought his scorecard was ridiculous, right? But excluding Teddy, Sergio Martinez, Lennox Lewis, Bud Crawford, Paulie Malignaggi. Not only are those fighters, like, let's go through that list. Sergio Martinez is, he held the titles that were in these divisions that these two were competing for, right? So Sergio Martinez was a champion in that weight division twice, right? More than once. Lennox Lewis is an all-time great heavyweight.
Oh, yeah.
One of the great heavyweights, if not the greatest, certainly of his era, but could compete in any era, I would say. Bud Crawford is easily in the top 3 pound-for-pound fighters in the world right now. Most have him ranked number 1, okay? And they all think that, and I didn't even count Paulie. I didn't even count Paulie, who is now an expert commentator.
He's actually one of my favorite boxers. Cause
I loved watching Paulie.
Because he didn't have a lot of pop, but he was one of the best boxers technically. And, you know, his career was mostly off of the jab.
His career was mostly off of the jab. I agree.
Controlling the fighter with the jab.
They're not just fighters. Okay,
no, these are Hall of Fame guys.
Yeah, exactly. These are Hall of Fame guys, and they think that Triple G won. So, explain to me again how someone's opinion is not valid if they're not a pro fighter. So, like, also, I'm gonna take a guess that the 3 judges who awarded Canelo the decision were not professional fighters at any point in time. So their opinion isn't valid either. So, like, the whole argument of if I'm not a professional fighter, I couldn't possibly understand or I couldn't find things. It's absolute nonsense. There's many professional fighters who compete at the highest level of the sport who think Triple G won. They're Hall of Famers. The judges who gave it to Canelo aren't professional fighters, so their opinion must not matter either. So maybe we should just have it all redone. Maybe we should just go at it again. Like,
that's what's gonna happen.
Yeah, I know it's going to happen. But the point is, it's a ridiculous thing to say. Like, I watched the fighter, Luke Campbell, fought last night on DAZN. I watched the fighter who lost basically every round in that fight jump up and down like he won, went over to the corner and asked Sergio Mora if he thought that he won, all this different stuff. He had lost almost every round. It was literally like a 119 scorecard, 119 to 111. The fact that you're a professional fighter does not mean that you know how to score rounds properly or any better than anybody else who does it.
I think you have a more valid opinion than somebody who just watches boxing.
Sure. I mean, I guess I'm not saying that my opinion is more or less valid than any other individual, but what I'm saying is that as a comment to say that I couldn't understand, I don't know how to judge things because I've never been in a professional fight, right? It's absurd. First of all, there are professionals that agree with me, and they happen to be people who, like I said, are Hall of Famers and are at the highest level of the sport. Roy Jones Jr., okay, here's the other thing. People are tearing apart HBO's broadcast team.
Yeah,
I don't know if you've
I
seen
didn't
that.
like it.
Really? Yeah.
I didn't like it.
People are tearing apart HBO's broadcast team. And
they had no chemistry. They seemed like they were falling asleep the whole night.
Punches is with me, by the way. Punches just got on and said 12th round, Triple G won. Watched it 5 times. Thank you, I appreciate it. But thank you for your support. But Roy Jones Jr., who everyone is tearing apart HBO's broadcasting team, and they all say the same thing. None of those guys know what they're talking about except Roy Jones Jr. Now, they have to say that because you can't say you're only a pro boxer should understand and then tear apart Roy Jones Jr. because he competed at the highest level of the sport for so long. He's one of the best who's ever done it, right? So nobody tears apart Roy Jones Jr. Roy Jones Jr. thought it was a draw. Yeah. Roy Jones Jr. at the end of the fight said it was, and that's what I said in the fight recap, that it was a draw, right? So Roy Jones Jr. thought it was a draw. So I don't understand. I don't understand the my opinion can't possibly be valid thing. I don't get it.
Well, what I find funny is that the fight is so hotly contested now, and that it was so close. Yeah, sure, you've got quite a few people on the expert side, professional fighter analysts that gave it to Triple G.
Not quite a few, the majority of people on the expert side.
It was so close that it definitely warrants the third fight, and that's what we're gonna see. And I thought, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but my whole thing was, I thought they took the rematch too soon, and that the whole clenbuterol thing was just made up. So one, he could fix his knee,
postponed by 6 months.
Yeah, so Triple G could have a training camp, get let down on that training camp as far as who he's fighting, then just pick whatever opponent, and then postpone the whole thing. Give Canelo more time to heal his knee. Give Triple G more time to age, and I don't know where I was going with this, but I think they're gonna, the same thing. The third fight, they're just gonna postpone it again. It's not gonna be right away. And
so, what do you think? Like Lemieux or one of those guys first for Canelo?
Yeah, I think Lemieux.
Not Charlo. I would.
No, I think they're gonna go with
Lemieux.
Yeah, somebody who's not as dangerous as the Charlos. I actually think I think the speed and power could beat Canelo. I think that'd be a tougher fight than Triple G actually for Canelo. But we'll see. I mean,
what would be a tougher fight for Triple G?
Charlo.
No, Charlo would be tougher for Triple G than it is for Canelo.
Tougher for Canelo.
For Canelo than Triple G was.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I think. I mean, there's more. For me, there's more speed there.
Yeah.
More speed to deal with.
Yeah.
I think Lemieux is. You see the punches coming. It's a safer fight, and it's a slugfest where I think Canelo's skills will outdo Lemieux. But anyways, they're not going to fight Triple G right away. They're going to wait for him to age again. So I don't know where this second fight ranks like in terms of history of all these fights with like these greats. What it reminds me a lot of is Sugar Ray Leonard Hagler, because Sugar Ray was a smaller guy going up to fight Hagler.
I hear that a lot.
And he supposedly just stole every round like the last 30 seconds.
Hagler fans will tell you that he won. Yeah.
So this reminds me of that, and that was at middleweight too, I think, right?
It was, yeah.
So it's the parallels are right there, so it's crazy.
This is the other thing that I hear. This is what I'm seeing a lot. Like after seeing this fight, people saying that Triple G, Canelo, that these guys, I actually see this a lot with sort of, I don't want to say old timers, but with people who are Hall of Fame fighters who had careers maybe in the 70s, in that time frame where it was kind of a boxing boom in those. There's this concept that like other fighters from today couldn't compete with those guys, as if those guys hit harder and were faster and all had better chins. And I'm starting to not understand it. Like I get it. I think Marvin Hagler is one of the greatest middleweights of all time, if not the greatest middleweight of all time, right? But I don't look at it and think he hits any harder than Canelo Alvarez, or Triple G. I don't know that his chin is made of more iron than those two guys, right? Like, they all have solid chins. They all hit really super hard. They're all fast. They're all talented.
I think most of those opinions are based off of nostalgia.
You think so? Like, yeah. I mean,
and it's mostly the older crowd. That's the crowd that like was in their prime when those guys were fighting.
Like, they could definitely compete, right? Like,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's what I thought. I keep reading about how like, oh, there's no way.
Hagler had iron chin, but so does Triple G.
So does Triple G. So does Canelo.
Yeah.
And they all hit hard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? These are some hard hitting individuals. They're not like
Oh, there's only one way to put those theories to test, and that's a fantasy matchup.
Yeah, fantasy. That's Coach and Chris fantasy matchup.
Yeah,
that's
or
true.
Computer simulation.
We should. Yeah, fantasy matchups are funner.
Yeah,
but I think you're right to your point about how close it was and how debated this fight is. I think it just shows how close it was.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna say one more thing, which is that all the people using words like outclassed and exposed and trying to say that Canelo clearly won 10 rounds and all that stuff, obviously that's not the case. Like we wouldn't be having these discussions. There wouldn't be so much debate about who won this fight within the media, within the professional boxing ranks, within all these things, if it wasn't a close and competitive fight. It was close and competitive last time. It was close and competitive this time, and that's okay. And if you like Canelo, that's fine too. But stop using words like Triple G was exposed and he slayed the monster. Someone just said he slayed the monster on it. It's like he got a 1-point decision on two scorecards. Someone left a comment and said that. Like, give me a break. Give me a break. It's clearly a competitive fight.
You know, boxing is really hard to score sometimes, especially with these types of fights. I mean, these guys are so evenly matched.
Exactly.
I would say that
that's okay.
I would say exposed is an extreme term. However, I think elements of Triple G's weaknesses were exposed, and all related to when Triple G fought Danny Jacobs. That's one of the that's one of the toughest fights that Triple G had. Danny Jacobs actually stood up to Triple G. He went toe-to-toe with him, and he kind of scratched the surface on exposing a weakness for Triple G, which was standing up to him, not just walking back.
Yeah.
And then I'll say, Canelo took it a step further and started really walking forward and getting Triple G to fight off his back foot. Now, that's not exposing Triple G because I don't think Triple G got exposed. However, I think it exposed a weakness where, dude, this guy cannot fight going backwards, and he does not like to fight going backwards.
But what do you mean cannot fight going backwards? Like
I don't think it was as close.
Two judges gave him 1 point.
Look at.
What do you mean he cannot fight going backwards?
I say 7-5.
How many times was he pinned down? Again, how many times was he pinned down? Never. He was never pinned down in the entire fight.
Okay, you want to know something? I think Triple G looked very tired in moments, and in one point, and a couple points, it looked like Canelo was gonna start running away with it, and might even if he kept his attack up on the body, it looked like he was eventually gonna get a knockout on Triple G.
Hey, no joke. The tired thing was peculiar though. Like it was like
that's effective body work.
No,
man.
But even then, I know he was putting in good body shots, but to be breathing the way that Triple G was breathing only like 3 rounds into it.
And then also
like I thought that was weird.
Well, also getting backed up and defending yourself will get you more tired than going forward,
throwing more jabs
and being offensive.
Yeah, you have to throw a lot of jabs and do that kind of stuff.
If you're going forward,
so you're just exerting more energy in every way.
If you're going forward and landing shots, you don't get tired. It feels good. you're clobbering the guy. You feel great.
Canelo got tired.
Yeah, well, he got tired the first fight going backwards. In this second fight, you see Canelo, Triple G getting tired going. Yeah, I know he wasn't pushed up against the ropes, but legitimately, you gotta say this is the first time that the man's been backed up in any type of way.
100%. And did he look uncomfortable? Yes. Would I say he can't fight that way? No, because the fight is too close to say that either one couldn't fight in a specific way.
Well, why do you think he wasn't unloading? Why do you think he wasn't letting that right hand go? Because he's not a counterpuncher. Because off that back step, he couldn't counter.
He fought effectively enough that the majority of people who were scoring the fight in the media thought that he won. So
I think people love Triple G because he's a great guy. So they're like, so they're rooting for him. I think, and he's so humble. And he's a gracious champion.
People are such conspiracy theorists, man. Like they literally there's some assumption that all of the boxing media got together and said, you know what, Triple G's such a great guy. We love him so much. Let's try and give him a draw in this fight.
I think
beforehand.
I think people still have a thorn in their side from the first fight. Because
I 100% agree
from
with
being
that.
so they're sour on the first fight, so they're like, there's so many things that skew the I guess the perception of this fight. Is the clenbuterol, is the decision on the first fight. There's so many things that skew, I think, people's emotions on this fight.
I'm 100% on board with that. In fact, when we did the recap, that was sort of the point I was trying to make, is I actually think that this fight was tainted still by the scorecard. You know what I mean? Still tainted by that one scorecard.
I think so.
Because, I think it's not a robbery. You know what I mean? Even though I don't think Canelo won, I thought it was a draw. If you think something's a draw and somebody gives Canelo an extra round, like I did, I thought it was a draw. But if you want to say you found an extra round for Canelo, okay. That's not a robbery, right? It's just one round, right? But it's still tainted by the fact that, we had a 118 scorecard the first time.
Yeah.
And so people think it's not right. But now if you want to tell me Canelo won 10, I'm going to tell you there's a problem, though. Right? That's a problem. Canelo
10 in this second fight or
you
first fight?
Canelo won 10 rounds?
In the first fight?
No, even this fight.
No.
Canelo didn't win no 10 rounds.
At the most 8.
Yeah.
And those were close
generous
rounds that could go the other way. But, it'd be great if we had a crystal ball to see alternative futures or past. Because I would love to see what the perception would be if Triple G had won the first fight, even if it was close. Even though that wasn't that close. That fight for me wasn't as close as this fight was. I think Triple G convincingly won the first fight.
Yeah.
But I thought Canelo convincingly won the second fight, though. But it was still a little bit tighter, though. He squeezed it out. But I think people's opinions would be different if Triple G had gotten the first fight. They wouldn't feel as screwed over. They wouldn't feel that Triple G got screwed over. They wouldn't feel as slighted by
That's true.
by that. They'd be like, it was a close fight. Yeah, Canelo won it. Let's do a third one. But now they're like, man, they just keep robbing Triple G. They just keep robbing him.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it is right now, man.
Did
you see, I was saying about Triple G competing with, the likes of Marvin Hagler and other people. I watched an interview where someone asked Roy Jones about, I guess ESPN or someone did a ranking, an all-time ranking of middleweights. And Triple G, I don't know where he fell on that list, but he fell above Roy Jones Jr. on the list. So they put Triple G higher than Roy Jones Jr. So they asked Roy Jones Jr. how he felt about that, and he said he really likes Triple G, so he doesn't really want to comment on it. And then he spent the next 10 minutes just going off on it, man. He was so mad. He wasn't mad. I mean, he wasn't upset. You could tell he thought it was ridiculous.
Well,
he thought it was ridiculous.
Well, these are arguments that people have in boxing all the time. Ranking lists, all-time pound for pound, all-time greats.
All-time pound for pound,
I'll just say, hey, does he belong in that conversation and in that group? Absolutely. He belongs in there with the Haglers. I'd like to see where he ranks next to B-Hop. And then, I guess, Roy Jones, B-Hop, Hagler.
Yeah, Roy Jones, you could tell, even though he tried to be sort of humble about it at the beginning, he still considers himself the greatest fighter on the planet, dude. All time.
He peaked.
He considers him an all-time great.
Wait, Jones considers himself?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I mean.
Do you agree?
At his peak, yeah. I mean, he was flashy. Nobody could touch him. He had power. I mean, he was just walking through everybody.
He actually makes some really good points, though. I'm going to see if I can find the interview and share it in the description or something, because he makes some really good points about why he is an all-time great. And
he's an all-time great.
Not
but the all-time great.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I don't think there is the all-time great.
He calls himself the best who ever did it in that interview. He's like, he kind of ends by saying there's only one man.
No, he doesn't know how to box.
He kind of ends by saying there's only one man who ever started his career at 154 and won the heavyweight championship of the world. And he said, and that's the best who ever done it. It's Roy Jones Jr. You know what I mean? And that's kind of that's how he ends the interview.
Roy Jones is really badass for sure. But as soon as he lost his speed, he couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
Because his whole game plan was, I'm faster than you. I have crazy angles on my punches,
He was
crazy
real
counters.
fast, though.
Yeah. Oh, dude, he was
he was
ridiculously
real fast.
insanely fast. However, once he lost his speed, he couldn't adjust.
Yeah, I will say that one of the things he says, or a couple of the things that he says that I thought were interesting. One is he says when he was at his peak, in his prime, there was no debate about who was better than Roy Jones Jr. Like he said, there was no media members sitting down saying, "Oh, who is better right now than Roy Jones?" It was just me.
Well,
he said,
he had
and then everyone else.
I don't know. I can't recall who else there was in that division who was coming up. But there wasn't anybody there was no yin to his yang.
Any weight division, he's saying, though. There was basically Roy Jones is ranked number 1, right, in terms of overall ranking, pound for pound ranking. What he's saying is Roy Jones is ranked number 1, and then there's everybody else, and it was not debated.
Well, who else was there in the heavyweight division that was a champion at the time that John Ruiz was a champion?
Oh, I mean, that's all guys like Lennox Lewis. And
yeah, well then, Roy, why don't you fight Lennox Lewis? Don't just pick the slowest heavyweight.
It's still impressive that he beat John Ruiz.
Of course, it's impressive, but you know what? The styles make fights.
Yeah.
That's why you have a matchmaker. Matchmaking is important. Shit, dude. I mean, if I was Roy Jones, I think I'm the best ever too. But
you have to.
Well, if you're gonna box, you better think you're good, and you better want to be the best ever. Otherwise, go do something else.
I just thought it was funny because the very first thing he says is like, "I don't like talking about that because blah blah," blah. And then he just goes off like 10 minutes, explains why he's the man. You know what I mean? It was super funny.
Yeah, rest in peace to Manuel Stewart, but. If he was around, he'd have a great opinion on all this stuff.
Yeah,
on the Triple G fight, on if Roy Jones was one of the best or the best of all time. Because that dude,
best who ever did it. That's what he said.
Yeah, he was. As far as analysts, I thought Emmanuel Stewart was the best. That's the one thing that HBO group is missing.
It's missing Emmanuel Stewart.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah,
I can see that for sure. But, yeah, there was another big fight. We kind of got overshadowed by Canelo Triple G. So much talk of Canelo Triple G and Anthony Joshua, and DAZN's maiden voyage kind of flew under the radar there for a little bit.
Yeah, I got to watch it on TV. It was awesome.
Yeah, I watched it too. I got my DAZN free trial going so I could watch Anthony Joshua fight Alexander Povetkin. What did you think about it?
It was surprising from Povetkin's attack. He was able to land his shots early on, and I give that all to his. I give that credit to his experience. He's fought a lot of other good heavyweights.
Everybody, yeah,
yeah, and he's, what do they say, KG veteran, or he's a seasoned veteran. I thought he was outboxing him throughout the fight, and then for some reason, Joshua was fighting shorter than he should.
Really short.
Right?
Like he brought almost down to eye level.
Yeah, and he was barely, he's getting just by the skin of his teeth, he was avoiding these counter overhand rights when he would jab to the body. I was expecting him, Povetkin, to land one of those. He kept throwing it. Joshua kept throwing jabs to the body, and Povetkin kept throwing overhand rights and missing over the shoulder just by a little bit. But he was jumping in with them quick left hooks and those uppercuts and catching them. He bloodied Joshua's nose. I attribute that to Joshua is a very strong guy. He's fast. He's got good form, but I don't know that his boxing IQ is that good right now or is at the level where it should be. For him to fight short, to let this guy get inside is stupid. He could have used his jab, could have stayed on the outside, could have still landed that straight right, which is what took him out at the end. That shows his inexperience. If he lets any of these big guys who are just barking to get at him, they're going to hurt him and they're going to jump on him.
I was going to ask you, does it change your perspective in terms of how Deontay Wilder would be able to compete, given that Povetkin gave him some serious problems very early on?
It does very early. It doesn't change my perspective. It reinforces my perspective.
Yeah, because you had thought already that he would struggle, but I think now it looks even more like he would struggle with
I mean,
that kind of
he was
power.
bleeding from his nose, right? Was it first or second round?
First round, there was a 3-punch combination at the very end of the
beautiful
round. It was a
combination.
beautiful combination from Povetkin, and you could tell Joshua coming out was doing a lot of blinking and and the nose was still bleeding. They weren't able to stop the bleeding between round 1 and 2. So I think it really impacted him in round 2, and he lost that round as well, in my opinion. I actually think Povetkin was up 4 rounds to 2 or thereabouts when Joshua finally scored the knockout. I was actually thinking, my mind was like, I was thinking we were heading for a robbery. I did.
Yeah.
I did. I was thinking.
I was thinking he was going to pull off the upset.
I was like, I was thinking, oh man, this poor guy's headed for a robbery. He's going to go and win a bunch of rounds.
Oh, yeah.
And then at the end, they're going to announce the decision, and Joshua will have won like a close majority type decision. And I was like, I'm so glad that he got the knockout, because I imagined the whole thing, man. I projected it out into the future and was like, oh, dude, if Povetkin goes the distance, I was like, they're going to announce Anthony Joshua wins by 1 round. Everyone will think Povetkin won. Yeah, it would have been bad. So I'm glad he knocked him out. I made all that stuff up, I know, but still, that's what I was thinking.
That would have been a huge, I don't know, bad for Eddie Hearn.
Yeah, that really bad. He looked
bad.
Terrified in the second round. They showed Eddie Hearn. He's sitting there in the front row. Oh, my God, he was terrified.
Well, like I said, I think it just shows Joshua's inexperience as far as his boxing IQ. It shows Povetkin's his experience, his accumulation of experience fighting champions for the last 8 years, 6 years, and then it reinforces to me that Joshua's a slow starter. He's a slow starter against Parker. He was a slow starter against Klitschko. Slow starter on this one, and if it wasn't for his power, then he'd been screwed. He has that all equalizing power. He takes one shot. I mean, any heavyweight has that power.
A lot of heavyweights do, yeah.
Most heavyweights do, but I think he has it even more. And Wilder is such that if he sees blood, he goes for
all over it.
And then not only that, but he's not afraid to take risk. He's not afraid to take risks where Joshua is afraid to take risks. You see him. That's why he's a slow starter. That could play into the hands of Wilder's game plan. But, first of all, he's got to get through Tyson Fury.
Yeah, he does.
And that was announced.
Yeah,
right?
they signed it finally. So December 1. And may happen here in L.A.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Well, I guess they had originally floated 2 venues, T-Mobile and Barclay. But I believe that on that day, December 1, I read that Michelle Obama is speaking at Barclay, and that Justin Timberlake on that day is performing at T-Mobile.
Sweet.
And
Staples.
yeah, exactly. So now Staples has emerged as like this.
It would sell out easily.
Yeah. Showtime pay-per-view, and then they were talking about, I saw a projected undercard if it occurs at Staples, and the fights on the undercard were remarkable. It was like Gary Russell Jr. and Leo Santa Cruz.
Oh, wow.
And then Abner Mares and Tank Davis.
Oh, nice.
And I was like, that would be a fantastic. I hope that all happens. I hope it happens at Staples with those 2 undercards. That would be fantastic.
Who proposed those undercards?
It was like some insider, I think, tweeted that was the undercards that were being floated for the Showtime pay-per-view if it occurs at Staples.
Yeah, that would make sense because that's LA fighters right there. Santa Cruz and Mares.
Yep.
And then Tank's kind of got a pretty good following out here now.
Yeah.
With all his trash talking with Ryan Garcia.
Yeah, with all his Ryan Garcia trash.
Yeah. Let's hope it happens at Staples. That's an easy sellout in that arena, and that's a huge fight. I mean,
yeah.
I just
that's a great pay-per-view card.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything about it.
That's what we need. I mean, we always need good undercards. It's always a letdown when you have to watch these miserable undercards waiting for the main event. And if the main event's a letdown, then
we didn't even talk about that. The fact that there was like an hour and a half between the undercards and the main event on HBO.
Well, I think that's what hurt the broadcast team was all that dead time they had.
They ran out of stuff to talk about.
They just kept saying it over and over again. I could see Lampley like just frustrated having to say like They were talking about stacking. They were talking about all kinds of nonsense.
Yeah, would they have to fill an hour?
They're like, stacking.
Man, they should have brought us on there. We'll kill an hour, no problem.
Yeah, easily.
I'll kill 90 minutes right now. I'm talking about boxing.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Lampley's getting kind of old too, so they're probably gonna get somebody new eventually. But yeah, we'll see if Fury and Wilder. I just hope it's a good fight. You know, like I said, styles make fights. Fury has he's a mover. He's really good slipping, ducking. You know.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Tell me again that fighters can't win on jabs. Let's go watch Tyson Fury win the heavyweight title, and you tell me how he did that. So I encourage everyone to go watch how he won against.
But you couldn't hit the guy though, right?
What's that?
You couldn't really hit him though.
Yeah,
I don't think Klitschko was hitting him.
He still wins with jabs.
Yeah, but
he won the heavyweight championship of the world.
Yeah, but Triple G was getting hit though. He was jabbing.
I'm not talking about that fight. I'm just saying.
Good. Move on.
I'm not. I'm just saying. Don't say you can't win with jabs. That's all.
Yeah,
that's all.
All right. Well, next time one of my guys fights, I say, don't jab.
Yeah,
see what happens.
Tell him put the jab in his pocket.
Yeah.
So keep that in your pocket. It doesn't work. So you can't win fights that way. It doesn't.
No, I mean I've had guys that were throwing effective jabs and seemed to be controlling the distance, and they lost the fight. And I was like, but we were jabbing so good.
What do you think about Fury and Wilder? Where are you at on that?
I just want to see a good fight as far as equal competitiveness. I hope that Fury can be effective in his attack. I see him being more defensive throughout the whole fight, and then just Wilder just chasing him most of the time.
Gotcha.
I think Wilder's gonna land hard shots. I don't know that he can knock out that guy. He's humongous. And I don't know if Fury's ever been knocked out.
He's been down before.
It's been down.
Yeah.
Never been out though, right?
No, not out. I mean, he's undefeated, but yeah, he's been down.
Yeah. Well, then.
He was dropped real good actually.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm kind of I think Fury's gonna take his first his knockout in this fight. So I've said before that I think Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, either guy, if it goes to decision, should be winning over Deontay Wilder. They're craftsmen, right? Particularly Tyson Fury, right? He fights on his toes. He likes to work behind the jab, stay away. It's really only a matter of will he be caught in the 12 rounds, and it's just so hard to avoid. It's so hard to avoid Deontay Wilder for 12 rounds because
hitting you at least one or two times
just
really
two
hard.
Times. Like it only takes like the 2 times, right?
Yeah.
It's so difficult to avoid, particularly if you watch Tyson Fury fight and he's working off that jab and he's back, he keeps his hands low. Mm-hmm. He gets very comfortable in there. He keeps his hands low and he exposes his chin a little bit. And he gets touched up there every now and again. And recently, I mean, he's getting touched, but they're by cruiserweights or by lesser opponents.
You think he'll try that ollie head movement in the
it's like
corner?
in his nature. That's the thing. Like, I think that
That'd be dangerous if he tries that.
Well, it's dangerous every time he tries it, but I don't think
against Wilder.
I think it's in his nature, and Deontay Wilder will be able to because of his defensive nature and the fact that he keeps his hands down. He'll catch him at least once.
Yeah, and height's not an issue in this fight.
No,
either. He doesn't have that as an advantage.
Yeah, so I actually think that he's gonna get him. You know what I mean? I think Wilder's gonna get him.
Well, the other thing I believe is that Wilder's is much sharper, and then all his recent fights, or even his last 6 fights, have been a progression of his skills. He's been progressing. He's been getting better. The Ortiz fight was. He had moments where he almost got knocked out.
Yeah, I also think he was losing, but
but part of that makes you a better fighter because you overcome adversity, you overcome hard punches,
have more faith in your chin.
Oh, exactly, man. Yeah. You got to feel like
indestructible.
Yeah, after that. So
because he didn't go down.
Yeah,
he didn't actually. Ortiz was beating him, and he rocked him real hard, but he never dropped.
So I feel a victory from Wilder is in line with the progress that he's been making in terms of his boxing skills, his career, his mindset, and I feel Fury he's just the guys he's been fighting aren't making him better. They're just getting him good enough to get in there with
Sure.
Wilder. You know, it's not like he's been fighting some guys and like really sharpening his skill. You know.
Yeah, I had actually thought that it would have made a lot of sense for Tyson Fury to go and fight David Price before taking Wilder, just because he's a little bit chinny, but he hits real hard. You know what I mean? And he's a tall dude. David Price is. I mean, obviously, you look at David Price's performance last night, and it looks like Wilder. I mean, David Price took that fight like on a week's notice or something like that, and he quit on his stool like in the 4th round or hurt his arm. But I think that would have been like just one more fight. It just felt like one more fight would have been appropriate in this case, and that David Price would have been a good match for it.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Like the Wilder fights are preparing him and have prepared him for Fury, and I don't feel like the Fury fights have prepared him for Wilder. I think they're just enough to get him off the couch and have him not keeled over after the 3rd round. That's you know, they were more like sparring matches. You know, where Wilder, I mean, he's a sharp knife right now. I mean, he
seems like it, and I think that it looks like he would have a better chance against Anthony Joshua coming out of the Povetkin fight. Like Anthony, you know what I mean? Like,
can you imagine what is Wilder like? Can you imagine him watching that at home? He's got to be jumping off the couch. You know, he
probably thinks he's gonna go. Well, that's kind of his meal
man.
ticket. That's kind of his meal ticket, though, right? Like, he wants to be able to get through Tyson Fury and get to Anthony Joshua because of the payday. If Povetkin won, it's actually bad for Deontay Wilder.
I was thinking that the whole time I was watching the fight. I was like, man, what if this guy loses? I'm like, what if he gets knocked down? Oh, that's just going to throw a big wrench in that. And I'm not sure that anybody, I mean, it wouldn't be as big of a sell, the Povetkin versus Wilder as Joshua Wilder. So
not nearly as big,
not
right?
even close,
so like
dude.
that's a fight where if you're Deontay Wilder, you're like, please don't, you
Yeah.
know, like please don't lose this fight. You know, like if you're watching in the first round when you see him land that 3-punch combination, you're probably like, damn.
Yeah.
There goes my meal ticket. Like, you better get back into this.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure he was happy after he knocked the guy out, but he's still, like you said, he's rubbing his hands together. He's like, oh man, he's ready.
Yeah. Johnny said he's ready to see another fight, and I said we could start talking about Canelo and Triple G again. And then
oh no,
you'll see another fight between us.
I don't want to talk about it for.
Oh my goodness.
No, I'd like to see, like I said in the post-fight recap last week, if a third fight doesn't happen, I'm okay with that. Just because the way the first two were judged, I'm fine with that. I feel Triple G is an all-time great middleweight. He's got a legacy. I wouldn't want to see him. I wouldn't want to see him get destroyed by anybody. I don't think that would happen, but I think his story has been told in boxing. I think his legacy cemented. I think he should retire, to be honest. I don't know that there's a lot of young guys coming up that would love to fight Triple G, and as you get older, people want to use your name to build their career. You know, and his record doesn't have a lot of blemishes on it. You know, what blemish does it have, you know? Right? Nothing.
Just the one.
Yeah, just the one and a draw and whatnot. But I'd love to see a new era in the middleweight division, and to really test Canelo is not just to put him up against Triple G and say, oh yeah, this guy is a badass middleweight. No, put him up against the other middleweights, and now let's see how good you are. You know, because Triple G's one guy, and one guy in the latter part of his career. You know, what about these other guys? I'd love to see Danny Jacobs and Canelo.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
You know, there's so many more, and like I said, I feel it's a new chapter. I'd love to see Canelo fight so many more people besides Triple G.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I think I mentioned even in the recap that I don't want to see it again.
Yeah,
I don't. Would I watch it again? Of course I would. You know, like if the pay-per-view comes around, I'm gonna watch it. It appears to me, and obviously nothing's certain in boxing, but there's not many ways that it could go better for Triple G from here. You know what I mean? There's not a ton. There are adjustments that he could make, but he's just older at this point. I don't know that He's prepared to make the adjustments. It didn't look like he made the ones he needed to make coming into this fight. He still seemed tentative a little bit. And I can't imagine, given how the first 2 fights played out, I can't imagine a favorable outcome for Triple G that wasn't a knockout, and it just looks less and less likely as it goes on.
Yeah, well, the way he looked, he's got to have one more left in the tank. One more. And he would have to give everything in training camp. He'd have to learn a few new tricks or just be able to apply some new tricks. But I only see him having one more good one because them training camps, and it's not so much the fight. I think it's the training camps that get you.
Yeah.
You know, it's the road work. It's the sparring. I mean, you fight 12 rounds, but how many rounds do you spar to get ready? I mean,
exactly.
You spar 100+ rounds to get ready. So, and I think if you got millions in the bank, you're kind of satisfied. Then that's when you start questioning, well, why am I doing this? So maybe for him, probably only Canelo would be the only option. Just a rematch with Canelo would be the only option. And he definitely would. He definitely would give everything. I mean, not that he doesn't all the time, but like I said, I'm okay with not seeing a third one. The only option for Triple G has got to be a Canelo rematch, and for Canelo, fight everybody else.
Yeah, and it's interesting because you look in terms of sparring. I think it was Miguel Cotto when they used to do the 24/7s a little bit later in his career and stuff like that. You would see he got off of actual road work and used more things that had lower intensity on the knees, like exercise bikes.
Yeah,
I think he did less sparring, so he did a lot of things to try and elongate, his career and extend beyond that.
Yeah.
So.
Hey, I mean, sparring hurts, even if you got headgear. And then the type of sparring partners you're going to have, if you're going to fight Canelo or you're at the top, who's going to be your sparring partners? Other world champs or other number 1, number 2, number 3 contenders, some of the best guys in the world who not everybody's heard about. So sparring's tough, and you got wars in sparring.
Yeah,
that's where you see some of the best.
Some of the best.
the best rounds in boxing is in sparring, and unfortunately, the people don't always see that.
Yeah. Well, most people probably want to keep their sparring sessions private, right? Especially at this level. You don't want to, I could see the younger guys don't mind the videotaping the sparring and doing that kind of stuff. But at this level, they don't want to.
I snuck a few cameras in for some big names in sparring.
Yeah.
But then they tell me, put it away. Oh, but
really?
I mean, I have snuck some though.
I've seen you sneak some cameras into all kinds of places.
Yeah.
Professional event. Yeah, that sounded really weird. My bad.
Weird.
Coach is an all right dude. He's a stand-up guy.
What are you talking about?
I was talking about sporting events, fights and stuff, such like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of which, we got the Linares fight next week.
Fantasy Springs,
India. Yeah. We're gonna.
Well, who's his opponent? That's what I'm interested.
Abner Cotto.
Abner Cotto.
Yeah.
Is
any relation? Is that
to Abner Mares or Miguel Cotto? No.
Probably not to Abner Mares. I don't think.
Yeah.
No first. They're related by first name. They have the same thing.
Abner Cotto. Isn't that weird?
Abner and a Cotto. You know what's funny is I don't know because Miguel Cotto is going to be there. He's going to be at the event.
Maybe it's like his cousin or something.
Maybe. I don't know.
Because I know he had a brother,
Jose Miguel
that
Cotto,
fought Canelo a long time ago and rocked him.
He got him, dude.
That
I was live. I saw that live. Jose Miguel.
Oh, you were
Cotto.
there?
Oh yeah. I think that I believe I was there. That was the one at Staples.
Like every fight, man.
That was the one at Staples. I think it was at Staples, and Jose Miguel Cotto caught him in the first round, but he was so young and he didn't know what to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So and he didn't hold or do it any of the things that you're supposed. He ended up
toughed it out. That's
he
did.
Toughed it out, but wasn't the right thing to do. Punches said that Abel Sanchez, according to Abel Sanchez, Triple G spars only 75 rounds per camp, which makes sense. For his age, I mean, you really have to limit the.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
The number of sparring sessions.
Yeah.
But I'm not. You know what? I'm actually not that familiar with Abner Cotto, despite the fact that we're going to cover that event.
By the way, I think there was a comment where Abel Sanchez admitted that they lost the fight.
No, he did not.
I heard that the other day.
Man, you're like a what do they call them?
Like what? Like what?
The people on the keyboard. That's
Keyboard warrior.
No, he didn't. You have to actually click the article and read it and
Read
watch the whole thing. That's not what he said.
That's funny.
That's what all the headlines say. I'll give you an example of this. I came across a headline the other day that said that David Benavides tested positive for PEDs.
Yeah, I saw that. I heard he tested positive for cocaine.
Yeah, but the headline, that's what I'm saying. The headline said David Benavides tested positive for PEDs. So I'm
Cocaine's
like, oh
a
my
PED?
God. Yeah. I'm like, what? That's crazy, right? So I click in. I'm reading the article. He tested positive for cocaine. I think that is a misleading headline.
What's the opposite of performance-enhancing drug?
I feel like that's a misleading headline. And
big time.
I understand that it's on the banned substance list, and so probably qualifies as like
fake news.
PED. It's like don't say he tested positive for PEDs. That's silly.
Well, the media sensationalizes everything, so.
But I mean that is unfortunate though.
That's hugely unfortunate. I mean,
he'll suffer a suspension, I believe.
He doesn't get stripped, right?
I don't think they'll strip him, but yeah.
Doa
said it's clickbait.
That's
the term. It's clickbait.
Oh.
Yeah, don't fall for the clickbait, man. You gotta.
Well, that's the juiciest stuff, though.
Yeah, Abel was okay with the decision. It's not the same thing.
That means
he
conceded defeat.
He it's not the same thing as agreeing that his fighter lost. he didn't say I think we lost. He said they're good judges. They're good judges, is what he said.
Well, maybe he's just being. I don't know.
But yeah, no. So David,
Fair.
back to David. Yeah, it's unfortunate. You know, the thing that occurs to me is, so he's testing positive for cocaine, obviously, and I think for the modern day athlete, I really think that if you're not treating your body the way that people like Bernard Hopkins and Vitaly Klitschko and Floyd Mayweather do, you know, it's really it just limits your ceiling. You know what I mean? Like these guys are so athletic and so competitive and they treat their bodies so well, you know, that it's just it's a shame. You know, it's unfortunate because like you really do have to, I think, for the time that you want to be at the top of the sport, you really have to dedicate yourself in that way.
Yeah.
You know? And so to me, I looked at it and go, oh, I think as a result, he may not end up being as good as I think he can be. Because, you know, I thought before that he's a sensational boxer.
How old is he? 20, 21?
Yeah, he's young. Yeah.
Yeah, and we've seen in other sports, we've seen athletes where they started getting into drugs and they died. Yeah,
like you know, he's such a sensational fighter.
It's dangerous. I mean, I know his dad. His dad's a pretty serious guy. A serious guy. You know, it's crazy. David's really tall. His dad's a lot shorter than him.
Yeah.
But I just hope his dad grabs him by the ear and smacks him upside the head. Not so much for the that it looks bad, you know, because David's got fans. More for the fact that it's dangerous. You know, when you're boxing, when you're training, when you're running, when you're sprinting, your heart is beating fast.
Yeah.
You know, I've always been against like anything that's gonna make your heart beat faster, stimulants, that type of stuff. It's so dangerous, you know, and it's such a thin line where, okay, yeah, maybe you're doing some coke, you're out partying, you feel great, but dude, you gotta train and spar like the next day, the next week. And you're pushing your heart, and your heart's got to beat so fast. And, you know, with cocaine, man, that stuff is potent. It's dangerous. Yeah. It's very dangerous. And you never know how your body's going to react to that kind of stuff. So for me, it's scary. You know, and he's young, and I can imagine that he's got outside influences, and now, you know, he's coming into success, and they want to party. But, yeah, I mean, your ceiling is going to be about 2 feet tall when you start doing that.
I just hate to think that it would impact his ceiling in that way. And I mean, all the best. He was very apologetic about it, and certainly I wish him the best. I love watching him fight, you know, so I want him to thrive and have a very successful career. But gotta overcome that.
No, his dad needs to grab him by the ear and smack him.
That's it?
Yeah.
That'll take care of it?
Yeah. Oh, his dad's a serious guy, man.
I believe it.
He's got 2 champion sons.
Yeah. Well,
Jose's fighting
Terrence Crawford.
Yeah.
He's fighting Terrence Crawford in October. That's right. And then I think we got a couple fights coming up here, aside from Linares, which I mentioned, Abner Cotto and Miguel Cotto will be there in attendance in Indio, and then George Groves and Caleb Smith is that same day next week on Saturday. So that's the final of the World Boxing Super Series.
Yeah, I want to tune into that.
Yeah,
Not sure how though.
Yeah, if you can find it, you'll be able to tune into that. And then Victor Ortiz and John Molina, which I think is the following day. It's like on a Sunday. It's not on a Saturday, right?
I actually saw Victor Ortiz last week at in Oxnard. Joey was fighting the Nationals, the PAL Nationals. And
yeah,
we made it to the second round, and we lost to a guy who was 8-time national champ. It was a good fight. Anyways, the first fight, Victor Ortiz was there. He looked in good shape, and this is actually a really good fight for Victor Ortiz because John Molina is not hard to find, but he is tough as nails, and those are the type of fights he likes.
Yeah.
So, I would say historically John Molina has greater will, and I don't want to question Ortiz's heart, but he has demonstrated a lot of heart, John Molina, as opposed to Victor Ortiz. But I anticipate this is going to be a barn burner, as they say.
Yeah, I question it for sure. I mean, I don't like to say it necessarily, but it's not an uncommon thing, I think, in boxing, or it's not a fresh perspective to say that Victor Ortiz has a little bit of quit in him. That you've seen it before, and that there are times where it seems to take over and be the result of his performance,
Yeah.
So I think that it's something that he's had to battle. This is a reputation he's had to battle against ever since he fought Marcos Maidana the first time. And then, Josecito Lopez, Andre Berto. There's just been several times where you've seen, more quit than I think we're accustomed to seeing in some other fighters. So he's kind of built that reputation for himself.
Yeah. Well, that's what makes this fight interesting is Ortiz, like you said, he's got a little bit of quit, and Molina's got absolutely no quit.
Yeah, exactly.
So which way is it going to go? But Victor Ortiz is definitely a more athletic fighter.
For sure, yeah. I mean, I saw him working out, video of him working out the other day. He still looks massive, man. Like, he still looks in tremendous shape.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's what we got coming up. Victor Ortiz, John Molina, Jorge Linares, Abner Cotto, all coming up this week.
All right. Yeah, I think we should be ringside. Well, we're going to be ringside for the Linares fight.
Yep.
Hopefully I'm ringside taking pictures, and then we can get some post-fight interviews.
Yeah, we'll have a go at it.
Yeah. We'll get Linares. I can translate.
You could translate?
I'll try.
Oh, man, that would be cool.
Yeah.
Try and grab Cotto. He'll be there somewhere.
Yeah, Miguel Cotto, for sure.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, he has – he officially retired.
He's retired.
After that, what happened? He popped his bicep against the.
Yeah, when Max Kellerman called it grotesque against Saddam Ali.
Dude, that hurts when you tear your bicep, and I can't. He finished the fight.
Yeah, all about that, huh?
It hurts a lot.
Yeah, you had a torn bicep, right?
Yeah, and you can hear it. I mean, you can hear a pop because the ligament's so tight, so you actually hear a pop, and you have no strength. So I don't know how Cotto was able to keep throwing. I mean, it's a lot of pain, but that dude's one of the toughest guys ever. He's personally one of my favorite boxers. His style is one of my favorite styles, mainly because it's not anything extraordinary, but he does everything. He does the ordinary so well.
Yeah. It's kind of like watching Mikey Garcia,
Yeah, what I mean? Exactly.
Like, it's not extraordinary when you watch him, but just the fundamental stuff he's exceptional at. Yeah.
Yeah, and Cotto was known for being a good jabber, good body shots. His jab, I mean, in some fights, his jab was remarkable. So.
Yeah. How you feeling?
Feel great. It was fun.
Yeah.
I like arguing with you about.
I know about
disagreeing.
Canelo and Triple G. Man, yeah, some disagreement on that one, but that's okay. Everybody's disagreeing on it. That's the thing to do right now.
Yeah. Well, I think at some point we got to find out if we can analyze these fights, like maybe 1, 2, 3 rounds, while we're doing the
pick specific
live
rounds.
stream. Yeah. Some of these highly contested rounds, it'd be great to kind of pick them apart.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting when you watch the replay on pay-per-view. They show you round by round what the judges had it. So when I watched it last night, they're showing you each round. So I think there were 3 different rounds in the fight where I was different from all 3 judges. Where I gave a round to Canelo, and all 3 judges gave it to Triple G. And then, like, the following round, I gave it to Triple G, and all 3 judges gave it to Canelo. It was really weird, yeah. It was weird. And then Letterman would be on a completely another page.
Well, you said he didn't know what. Letterman said, I don't know.
So I didn't see this. I would have commented on this in the reaction, only I watched it live. So they were like 7 rounds in, and they threw it over to Letterman and said, Harold Letterman, how do you see it after 6 rounds, right? And he goes, I have no idea. He literally was like, I don't know. He's like, this is my score, but it could easily be the same score for the other fighter, so I have no idea.
That's cool.
That's kind of what he said. So.
That's cool because Harold usually I think he's unbiased. He's usually pretty spot on, you know.
You think so?
Yeah, I think he's been pretty spot on.
Harold and I have some disagreement. Old Harold and I have some sometimes differing opinions.
Yeah, he's a character though.
Yeah, he is.
He's probably the best part of the HBO broadcast. Him and Max, just keep those 2.
Just keep those 2. So no more Roy or Jim. Who do you fill in though?
Roy says the same thing every single fight.
Yeah, but who do you put in there though?
You, me. I don't know.
You need a boxer guy. You need like a color. If it's not Roy, I mean Antonio Tarver used to do Showtime, but he was dropped because of the performance test, right? Because he tested positive after that Latif Coyote fight.
Isn't he on his way to 45 or 50 years old?
I don't remember, but he had this fight with Latif Coyote. I don't know how old he was, and then he tested positive after that fight. Pretty recent. And then they dropped him as an announcer.
Wow.
And that's when Paulie started doing all their stuff. I mean, I'm not sure. There's not a lot of. I mean, Andre Ward's okay, but he just signed a 2-year contract with ESPN to do their stuff.
There's a bunch. We can't think of them all right now, you know. But there's plenty of people out there.
You know, Mario Lopez is already sewn up. So
yeah, Slater. He's good. He
actually is good.
Well, you know,
he is good. He's all right.
He's carving out a new niche in his career, which is crazy.
He's doing fine.
That guy is like reinventing himself right now.
I don't know why so many people give him a hard time. I thought he did fine. We'll see next Friday because that'll be on Facebook too, right? With Mario Lopez. So see how it goes.
Dude, he could start a whole new Saved by the Bell, which is boxing, not school. That's funny.
So somebody made that joke in their post-fight interview, and they said, yeah, I guess you could say he was saved by the bell, and then they kind of gave him the look.
Yeah,
but
corny.
All right. Well, I think that's it for this week. Beat the count. Do you have anything else? Throw anything out there?
No, I just want to say that me and Chris are gonna keep trying to make this show better every time and keep evolving it and come up with some new ideas, new segments, and so we appreciate all the followers and the support and all the comments that people are making on the videos that we've had in the past, and just keep watching us, and we're going to keep growing the channel and trying to get some more guests on here. You know, we had Stax. He brought Danny Ramon last time, and
yeah,
I think he mentioned that we might get Jaime Munguia
Can you translate for that one too?
I'll try.
I'll try.
It's a scary dude, man. I don't want to get anything wrong. 6 foot. I think he's 6 foot, that guy. He's a monster.
Yeah, I'm sure he's.
But yeah, I mean, just keep watching us. The show's going to get better. We're going to add more things to it. And this is where you see some of the this is where you see champs, and you see some of the up-and-coming guys that
you get to see it all.
Yeah.
You get to see it all.
Because, like, dude, Rooster was on here, and then, I mean, he stole the show.
Totally stole the show
right?
at Fantasy Springs. Yeah, he did.
And he was on here first, and then, yeah, I mean.
Speaking of what, two guys who were on here, Michael Dutchover and Ruben
they
Torres.
fought this weekend.
They fought this weekend. They both were on Thompson Boxing's.
They won by KO, I think, both, right?
They both won by stoppage, yeah. They were both stoppage. One of them, Michael Dutchover, dropped his opponent twice on body shots, and he wasn't able to continue after the second knockdown. And Ruben, I believe his opponent quit on the stool.
Oh wow!
I think it was, yeah, like in the fourth round or something like that. So congratulations to those guys.
Yeah. Well, I saw those guys sparring. They were actually sparring Danny Ramon.
They do, yeah.
I saw them sparring. I saw at least 8 rounds between them.
Yeah.
And they were doing pretty good against the champ. So
yeah, they those three, they're
Yeah.
constantly posting stuff on Instagram and stuff like that. So definitely congratulations to those guys, and good luck to Danny, who's going to have a fight coming up here in Chicago not too long from now in October. So
awesome. But yeah, keep watching us. We're gonna get better and better.
Yep, follow us on Facebook, Instagram. The show is also available on iTunes, Google Play Music, Spotify, Podbean. You know, it's out there.
Oh, and we you were at the Boxing Fan Expo too.
I was.
Yeah.
I was at Boxing Fan Expo.
Yeah, so you got to meet some top prospects.
I did, yeah.
We got some autographs. We got some autograph gloves. Not going to tell you who, but maybe you could figure it out. But in the future, we're going to do some giveaways on this autograph boxing gear.
Yep, we got a couple
to our fans.
Yeah, some autograph stuff to give away. So keep a lookout on Facebook and Instagram for that stuff. And, you know, we'll keep building it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
But special thanks to you guys. I appreciate all of the support. That's it for this week on Beat the Count. We'll see you guys next week, Sunday, after a long day in Palm Springs. We'll have to figure out how we're going to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
that's my birthday, I think so.
Oh, wow. Birthday edition.
Yeah, birthday edition.
The birthday edition.
Nice.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right, peace. See you.